There we go. You
Look at this guy.
Fucking beast, you.
Look at this guy. Fuck, it's good to see you, buddy. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a heartbeat.
I was just thinking, like, when was the last time that we hung? It's, you know, obviously I was at CFOX, but it's been probably close to a decade.
I came to see you in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like a long time ago. And I was thinking as I'm getting ready, like how long have we known each other for? Like 97 is when I got to PG. So it's like 25 years.
Did you get to PG before me? I think
you're the music director mids on the Max FM 94.
The IRX. The Max.
CIRX. The Max.
Fuck.
And what I loved about my time there, when I think back to those days, you know, obviously it's the radio and it's having fun and jamming and shit, like the house that I had with Tiffany and the fucking foosball table and all that. But also,
that's right.
But it was also like that you and Deb really kind of almost welcomed me into your life, like I don't want to say a brother, but like, I don't know if it was just you guys felt bad because here's this single guy, you know, and you'd bring me over for like
dinners and barbecues and
stuff like that.
We all did that though. Everyone kind of hung out, right?
Yeah.
I think at the early stages of all of our radio career, where we were all trying to make it on very little money, I think there was a sense of community there that isn't there now.
No, I don't think it is either.
No, I think everyone is so fucking terrified about their jobs that you're in your own space, right? And I know I do it, not because I'm terrified of my own job, but I've sort of just
made a bubble and
developed this bubble around me, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's good situations though. I'm sure there's radios.
I'm sure there's the exceptions to the rules, and I'm sure there's still tons of people that are making big bank. And even though they say there's no more money to be made in radio, and but you know, there's a reason why I haven't even thought about applying for either peak mornings or peak afternoons in Vancouver. Like for me, like, why would I? I'm 7 years into podcasting now. I'm carving out my own thing, and you know, got invited to be a teacher at BCIT, and you know, so for me to go back to that world again, like you say, you know, everybody's fucking fighting and like ducking every couple 2-3 years and watching all their friends and colleagues and shit lose their jobs over what? Like just greed. It's just the fat cats want to get fatter, and it's not that there's no money in radio. Like, maybe tell your shareholders you're not going to make 880 million this year, you're going to make 800 million. And all those jobs would still be safe and secure. It's really like, I don't want to sit and shit on radio here with you, but it's really disheartening as like I've worked in radio for 20 years, man. And now to think like I probably won't even go back to my love until I'm retiring, and I'd maybe take a couple days, you know, a week job at Penticton or wherever I'd retire. Like, it's just weird that it's gotten to that point in radio. It's just weird.
Yeah, I mean, and it started years ago, man.
Well, it's been, dude, decades. It's been like that.
Yeah. When did you get shit canned from CFOX?
2014.
So I'd say about 5 years before that is when the consolidation and this sort of trend of how can we do more with less really started to kick in.
Oh, totally. Hey, Todd, maybe you should start a podcast. And yeah, absolutely. What's the pay? What's the compensation? Like, if I'm going to take time to make this, you know, creative extra content for the company, like, why? That's not in my job description that I signed with you guys. Why would I do that? Right. No, I totally agree.
Yeah. It's a different world now. It is. For me, like, I've never been out of it.
Right.
Like I hit Vancouver in 91, and I was in radio school right away. And then I ended up getting a job up at, not a job, I volunteered at SFU, CJIVE.
Okay.
So I was up on the hill broadcasting weekends. That was my first sort of foray into radio. And then I kind of had part-time work. I worked at that JR Country. I did overnights flipping reels and shit like that, like on the Wave. Remember the Christian station?
I do, yeah.
So the overnights I was flipping reels, and then I got a job the day I graduated, right? And I've been doing it ever since. Like I got into it and stayed in it, and I've been lucky that I got fired here in Edmonton. And in the fucking parking lot, I swear to God, I was in a band with the program director at the Bear at the time. And he called me and he goes, I hear you got fired. And I'm like, dude, they just fucking walked me out. He goes, yeah, it's small world. And he goes, do you want to do weekends? And I was literally on the air that weekend.
Wow.
So, I mean, I've been very, very lucky. And I've been able to, also had a wife that was mobile. So at the beginning of the career, I was able to bounce around and I mean, yeah, but it's hard to watch. It's really hard to watch, especially when you see things like the Bell stuff where like on one
the
week,
handling of that was so terrible, man. Like good riddance, time of your life. That's how you're ushering out the staff. Fucking
yeah. It's awful. It is so brutal. And it doesn't happen in too many businesses. And the problem is if you complain about this industry, people look at you like you're a lunatic, right?
Right. Like, dude, all you do is play music and talk between the, like, no, that's not the only thing.
And I
right?
get it.
Yeah,
you know what? He's getting in his truck and he's driving into work and he's going to spend the day on a roof, right?
Yeah, sure beats that.
Yes, or he's behind a shovel all day. And he's sitting there thinking, you're bitching about your job. But that's hard, man. It's hard to see people go through that. Being fired, like I said, it's only been once for me, but it is just brutal. It's so
I mean, and that's a
debilitating.
Thing. If you're in a building for a long enough period of time, you see that stuff. Like I was at CFOX for almost 15 years. So I saw that at least 5 or 6, 7 times.
You saw the culling, yeah.
You know, boom, there's the axe and just heads are flying over and over and over. And I didn't know this. And like you, I got my first job on the last day of school.
That's
for my
crazy.
Job, right? I didn't know that. So the same sort of thing. And I honestly thought that I would be, you know, I didn't think I would ever get out of radio. I never thought that I would lose the job at CFOX. I was killing everybody in the ratings. And, you know, me, I'm a pretty open guy. I'm a pretty friendly guy to hang with. And I had an open door policy, went to all the meetings and shit. And I just thought I'd be there till I was too old. And then I've got the gray balls and I need to go down the hall to Rock 101. That's kind of what I thought was going to happen. Like, so when I got let go, so many people were like, dude, you need to go back to radio. Like, you're well known in the city of Vancouver. Why don't you just do a podcast and cut the middleman out and you be the ad person? You be the you know, get them to sponsor you and you talk about their business. Like, could you do that?
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess. And then 7 years
later. When did you start the podcast?
Like I started in January 2015. I waited because when I initially got let go, they were like, we're going to just pay you regular wages, right? You're regular every 2 weeks. You'll get it for the next 10 months. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, how about if it's a lump sum? Like, just give me the lump sum, right? Well, they're like, oh, no, we can't do that. We can give you like 70% of it. And I was like, well, that's not happening. Like, you owe me all that money. So I just waited it out for as long as I possibly could. And then I fired it up. Yeah.
Cause there's always those sticky points in the contract. Like, you probably, to be honest, you probably could have started it, and it wouldn't have been too much of a.
Oh no, yeah, I probably could have.
Here's the thing, they fucking fired you.
Right.
They walked you out the door.
No, not really.
Still, well,
technically they did, but not really. More like I was like, okay, cool. Where's my severance package? They put it on the table. I picked it up and was like, see you later, boys. And I didn't give them a chance to walk me out the fucking door.
Well, yeah, I understand. But I mean,
yeah. But proverbially, they walked
you out. And then all of a sudden you feel some sort of, it's funny how people's minds work, right? And if you're a loyal person like you and I are, you're like, oh, well, okay. And you're a rule follower to a point. You're like, okay, well, yeah, they're paying me. So technically I shouldn't, eat their lunch. But really, at the end of the fucking day,
it wasn't even that, man. I just wanted some time off.
That's a good point.
I was like, it's June. It's like summer. Like literally
need a break.
I got home and I said to Jess, I was like, let's go to Tofino tomorrow. And she goes, well, like you just lost your job. Maybe we should just chill on the. And I was like, no, I still get paid. So let's just go. And we went there for a couple, 2-3 weeks, and I turned off the phone for everybody. And
good for you.
And when I came back, I didn't really know what I was going to do. I got offered a couple jobs in radio to go to Lethbridge, Kamloops, and I can't remember the other one. But they were all like, 60, 70 grand a year. I can't up and leave Vancouver making that kind of, like, I could fucking serve coffee at Starbucks and make that wage.
Well, and it's interesting because I have been offered jobs in Vancouver. And the funny thing about the jobs, my job offers, the last one that I got offered, we never got too far in the conversation, but we got to the point where it was, okay, well, how much would it pay? And da-da-da-da-da.
Right.
And I said to the woman that was trying to get me to come to Vancouver to do afternoon drive and do music, I said to her, I'm making $20,000 a year more on my base than
now
what you're offering me to go to Vancouver.
Right. Which is the most expensive city.
I'm in Edmonton.
Right.
I can't move there.
How could you? Not even if it was like, dude, what do you make? We'll match it.
Yeah. And that wasn't even part of the conversation. When you're $20,000 away from, it's just crazy that just the amount of money that they think they can. And the problem is somebody took that job.
Well, that's the problem. Like all of those jobs, like no offense to the guy that's doing my old job at CFOX, but he probably makes half of what I made.
Yeah.
And it's probably happy to make that because he's at CFOX.
Yeah.
But that's part of the problem of the industry. You can make a movie without Tom Cruise. Not that I'm Tom Cruise, not that you're Tom Cruise, but if you want those personalities and the proven ratings winners, you best be throwing the cash out to make sure you get Tom Cruise.
And do you know anything happening in radio right now worth listening to? I mean, I don't want to shit all over the industry, but I don't know about a lot of guys that are like
doing things that are like super innovative and like forward. Is there anybody else?
I am so disconnected from it. Because I listen to podcasts. It's all I listen to.
Right.
And,
yeah,
I shouldn't say that, but
it's the same for me. Like when I was, it's interesting because now I don't listen to radio for different reasons. Like now I'm like you, I don't listen to radio now because there's podcasts, or I'm just too busy with my own creation, my website, my sponsors and all that, and BCIT and a wife and 2 kids. And, life gets crazy busy. When I was in radio, I listened to it at the very start just to kind of get inspired and be like, oh, that was cool the way they transitioned between those 2 thoughts, or that was neat how they springboard that phone topic to do this and that, whatever. But maybe like certainly after I left Prince George, I never listened to radio, or hardly ever, because I didn't want to be influenced by the way that other people were presenting their material.
I'm the same way. And I've never understood the jocks that sit there and
Why?
like I've heard through the grapevine that there's jocks out there that sit there and scan radio stations while they're on the air, mining for material. I'm like, what?
Like
Didn't you
what?
go into the room with what you want to talk about?
No shit. Weren't you prepared? That's a prep, man. Were you ready to go on air? Really? That's amazing.
It
Especially
is.
now as a teacher at BCIT now, like, you know, I take all of this wealth of knowledge and I try to pass it along, and most of it just goes, they just,
Oh yeah.
they're just blinders on. They've got their way and that's it. Like they don't care that I've got 25 years, almost 30 years doing what they want to do. They don't care.
No, but they'll learn. I mean, they'll learn the hard way. And I mean, we're all kind of wired that way too, though. Like I don't know how much I got out of school. If anything, I feel like school set me back because I honestly do.
Yeah.
I had this idea that I needed to go to school and I needed to go to BCIT. When they wouldn't take me, I went to the Columbia Broadcast Academy of Broadcast Arts,
Right.
which was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And then when I got out of that, I was listening to my tape that we made to get a job, and I'm like, I'm fucking awful. Like at the time I was working in radio too, so I was hearing guys. I was listening to like Andy Frost and overnights, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like I'm not even anywhere near that. I got to go back to BCIT. So I went back to BCIT. They put me on a wait list, and it's an interesting story about the connection that I have, because I know a couple of people that were supposed to go that year and ended up backing out for different reasons. But I ended up getting a call, and I was in 92, graduated in 94. And I remember not feeling comfortable, not hearing my voice and what I wanted to do until 97, sitting in front of Hartley Miller, filling in for Doug Elliott on mornings on the Max. I remember just clicking. Something clicked. I heard it. I interrupted Hartley Miller's sportscast because he was clearly a Habs fan, and I needed to let him know about that.
Right.
It was so obvious to me that he was just gushing about the Habs in BC, and I'm like, and I wasn't going to let him. And I turned off the voice and this idea of this radio personality that I was, turned it off, and I heard my voice in my headphones, and I went, hold on. I don't need to be that radio guy. I can be this guy.
Right.
Yeah. And then, like, I don't feel like I started radio until 97, and I was already 2.5 years into it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, and as performers now, we know that that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
But also it's the hardest thing to tell somebody. Oh, just be yourself. Like, okay, great. Like, first off, you got to know who you are. And then you have to factor in all of these like little nuances of like, what do you want people to know of Lochlin Cross? Like, you need to peel back those layers and let everybody know that sometimes you're a jackass, or sometimes you're sentimental, sometimes you're funny, sometimes like, and you need to know that everything that you say shapes the way that people think of you. It's scary. Yeah. Like you put your life out on, you put your life out there for people to ridicule and mock in some cases.
Yeah.
Get thick skin from radio.
Yeah. You for sure do. That's it. You hit on something there that I think is really important. And I mean, you gotta know who you are. You really do. And I don't know if you're any good in this business until you figure that out. And then it's a lifelong project, right?
Oh yeah, dude.
If you're not self-aware,
dude, when I got let go, you know, I'd been at CFOX for 15 years, and I think that I still had like, you know, I wasn't even hitting my stride.
Yeah.
Like, talk about how's that? Really, the 12-year afternoon guy hadn't even hit his stride?
Yeah.
What the fuck? How's that?
I believe it though.
And I'm not saying, and I'm not saying that just to say it to the who of it all. Like, I literally didn't feel like I was as good as I could have been in radio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's true though. Yeah. It's it's an interesting business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the music in the Cross House like as a kid growing up?
I was raised by a hippie. So there was a lot of Leonard Cohen and Cat Stevens and Carly Simon and Don McLean. And yeah, I still actually get angry when I hear Leonard Cohen.
So it was like,
how did that guy
was it always
have a career?
Was it always a big part of your life then, or was it just kind of in the background? Like, what was it like growing up as a kid?
I gravitated to music on my own when I was about 10 or 11. I started getting big time into music, but I was sort of forging my own path and and finding bands on my own. And I had decided at an early age that I didn't like what was happening in the 80s. I'm 50, right?
Yeah.
So I'm 12 in 1982. So at that point, that was when Much Music and MTV sort of, it might have been a little bit too early for Much Music. I can't remember exactly when Much Music took off, but
yeah, it definitely been like maybe like a Friday Night's Videos or like a good Rockin' Tonight kind of thing.
Good Rockin' Tonight, holy shit. So anyway, I did not like all of that new wave or any of the sort of the pop or the radio hits at that time. So I gravitated towards AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Black Sabbath. And then I sort of lived there for a long, long time. I didn't like the hair. I didn't like those kids that listened to that used to beat the shit out of me. So I was not a huge fan of that stuff. Like the Twisted Sister. I was like, this is just ridiculous. I have an appreciation for it now, but I did not enjoy that music at all.
At the time, yeah.
And then grunge hit in the early 90s. It was actually, I went to Lollapalooza in 92 because I was in Vancouver. So I went to Thunderbird Stadium.
Okay.
And 3:00 in the afternoon, Eddie Vedder walks out and does like a 40-minute set, Pearl Jam, and then Soundgarden comes on after that. And I went hard into that.
Yeah. Then,
as far as I'm
Ministry,
concerned,
Chili Peppers, like like still to this day, my favorite. I was at that show. My favorite show.
Well, and did you miss all the second stage shit?
Well, no, because I had a buddy at the time who was he worked at a place called A&B Sound. Record store up in northern BC.
Yeah.
So he kind of knew that whole underground vibe kind of thing. So we would maybe we catch like only 35 minutes of the 45-minute set of Ice Cube, but then we blast up to catch whoever, Babes in Toyland, or like fucking Tool played on the side stage.
Tool. I don't think Rage did that year.
No, they missed it because it was the next year. They were supposed to do Alice in Chains, Rage, and all that.
There was something about Rage not performing on 92, but then they had a main stage slot in 93.
Right.
So, and Tool to this day still one of my favorite bands, and I missed them at Lollapalooza on the second stage.
That Lollapalooza, I've literally got probably 5 or 6 pictures where I could grab Maynard.
There was nobody in front of him, apparently.
Like literally, that's how close I was. That's literally how close. Certainly for a few pictures, anyway. But like,
so what time was that? That must have been.
That would have been like 2.
Crossover between whatever.
But it was one of those, like, my buddy Kyle was like, dude, we can't miss this band Tool. They're fucking awesome. So we just, maybe it was Jesus and Mary Chain or something. It was one of those bands.
Jesus and Mary Chain started off the main stage down below.
Yeah, where I was like, I'm not really sure I know those guys very well or whatever. But yeah, man, we bounced back.
And he was a mess.
He
was a fucking mess on stage. I don't know if he was playing it up, but he was falling all over the place. And
I think I did like 3 or 4 years in a row at T-Bird for Lala.
Yeah, and then they stopped touring for some reason back in like 97 or something, didn't they?
Well, I think it just probably became a bit of a logistical nightmare to get all those bands together, crossing the borders and shit. Because now it's just like it's in Chicago. It's like just a day or a weekend destination basically now.
Farrell was talking about the fact that they might do it again this year, but I don't know if that's a possibility. I think
that anything this year is just not unrealistic, but it's like certainly.
Yeah. I still haven't seen Rage, which is one of my favorite bands, and I got tickets for the show in Edmonton, and it was canceled because of COVID. So we're sitting, like, I'm bending a pair of tickets in my wallet now for like months, waiting to see when that gets rescheduled. A lot of people got their money back, but I'm like, if they're rebooking this, I'm fucking keeping my seats.
Yeah,
so.
I would keep your seats, dude. Yeah, I saw. Do you remember the Plaza downtown Vancouver? It was like an open arena kind of thing.
I saw Ben Harper there. Yeah, I've seen a couple of bands there. Great show.
Well, I saw
great venue.
Rage. I can't remember who opened up, but I went with my little cousin, and I got my cousin up in the mosh pit at this one point. And he accidentally booted this kid right in the face. And like knocked a couple 2-3 teeth out of this kid, and there's blood spilling everywhere. We're like, holy fuck, sorry, dude, holy crap. And he just was like all smiles. It's all cool, man, it's all good. Like, Jesus, I know what to expect being up here. Yeah, man, Rage is awesome.
Yeah. I think it sounds like you got into radio because of music, and I did too.
Yeah, it's music. It wasn't.
Do people do that anymore? Like, I don't know if that's the draw.
I don't know.
Like, what's the draw? Why are kids going to BCIT? Like, what is it?
Well, a lot of it is, it's more than just radio now, right? The stuff that we're doing goes into video editing and audio editing, of course, and like marketing, social media, all that shit, right? So, but the ones that are like expressing interest that I work with personally, I don't get the feeling that it's like, man, I'm such a music spaz and I just want to get, I just don't get that feeling anymore.
No, I lived and died. Like, I mean, I spent my money every week. I got a check. I was at the cassette store buying cassettes.
Always.
I got a wall of CDs behind me still. Right. Yeah. Like, and I've got kids and expenses and things like that, or I'd have a record player. I told my wife, we're not getting a record player because I'll bankrupt us.
That's true. You know that you're the guy that instilled in me, don't touch CanCon.
Yeah.
You're the guy. Like, never, like, I worked with like Christian Hall and like, all these like Corey Price and all these like really well-known established music directors, but it was this little guy in Prince George before he is now the monster Loc'r. But you were the guy that just really hammered it in how important it was to keep the Canadian music. Don't fucking mess with the logs. There's a reason why there's the flow.
Yeah.
For whatever that's worth.
Well, the funny thing about where we're at with radio now is and maybe I've been doing mornings too long, so I've lost the appreciation.
How long have you been doing it for now?
I left the Bear to do mornings, so 2015.
Okay, 5-6 years.
5-6 years. But now, I mean, now I'm way more hyper focused on the I don't worry so much about flow as I worry about content. What we're doing, how to keep people engaged. I mean, that's way more of a concern to me now, because it took me a lot of years to realize this, because you get into this business, and my first thought was I was going to get into programming because I had 2 kids and I was hyper aware of the fact that radio on air, that career, you were not going to make a lot of money at it, or you were going to, take a long time.
Yeah.
So I was looking at the possibility of making $35,000 a year for 15, 20 years, or do I make 60 and I can afford a car because the program director has a new car. So, and I've got a mortgage and I got 2 kids, because we had the girls in Prince George, right?
Right.
And I'm like, I guess I better try the programming route, which was a huge mistake. I mean, that set me back years, because I am not a manager.
Yeah.
That was the worst fucking decision I ever made in my life. I mean, I should not be managing people. And the problem is everybody needs to be handled a different way. And I'm the kind of guy, like, if you don't like what you're doing, go fucking sell shoes.
Yeah.
Like, this is the best job in the world. And you can't tell people that. You can't sit them down and go fucking sell shoes in the mall if you can't fucking do this job.
No.
You have to be nice, and I'm not good at that.
I'm the same way with, with the BCIT students. I'm very like, here's how it is. And I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything. I'm not trying to make friends. I'm not trying to make enemies, but I'm going to tell you what's right, what's wrong. And some like it like that. And some don't.
And it's the ones that don't that get you in trouble, right?
Oh yeah.
They're and not that I was in any trouble, but it was apparent to not just me, but the building that I worked with, that I wasn't a good manager. So, and then getting fired was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it got me back on the on-air path. So, but the problem with music now is that I got 18 million songs in my hand, right? Why am I an expert in programming a radio station when everybody is? Everybody's an expert at program. Everybody has a playlist. Everybody has the songs they love right at their fingertips. So, I mean, I still apply the old rules to how I program the show. And if I need to make any adjustments music-wise, I'm thinking about what our philosophy is, but I've lost the give a shit attitude about how important one song going into the next song is. Mm-hmm. It's just not as vital anymore for the success of a radio station, in my opinion.
Yeah. All content.
To me, it's 100% about what you're delivering as far as content goes, because there's a million podcasts out there. There's a million different sources for music. You got to give them a reason to tune in every day. And if you don't figure that out, then whether or not Bryan Adams sounds good going into Survivor, that's not going to win you any battles. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not.
What's the most overrated rock band?
Oh, shit. You know what? I get into arguments all the time with people about music. They all have a formula, right?
Yeah.
And you like what you like. I work with a guy who loves Bon Jovi. Like, I can't stand Bon Jovi, right? And maybe I'm just bitter because I've been in the business too long. But he sings. You put a Bon Jovi tune, he'll sing every goddamn word to every song we play.
Yeah.
And I don't think Bon Jovi's released a song in the last 40 years that didn't become a single and get played on every radio station in North America. Right. So I mean, the fact that I don't like him, right? So I don't know. I mean, the Nickelback thing drives me crazy. Like, why does everybody shit all over Nickelback? Because every band has a formula.
Right.
Like, every band, they write catchy songs. You're hating them
that's the
because
point.
Everyone else did. Right? And anyway, I don't know. That's a tough question. I don't know a lot of new music. I am so out of touch with what's happening with new music. I know every once in a while I'll be watching a show and I'll hear something that I really, really like, and I'll go listen to that artist for a couple of days on the drive into work or something like that. But I mean, I have no idea what's happening in rock right now, or if rock is even relevant. I'm so disconnected.
Oh, same.
Oh my God.
Completely, like,
it's embarrassing.
Since being departed, I'm like completely lost.
And my daughter has been, she's in Spain. She dances at the Barcelona de Ballet in Spain. And her and I are probably more simpatico than my other daughter music wise. And my youngest will send me music every once in a while. So she'll send me something she thinks that I'll like, and I send her stuff that I think that she'll like. So we swap Spotify tunes every once in a while. But the oldest, and I can't believe this happened to me, she's a country fan, and I'm disgusted by that. But she likes the bro pop country stuff. Like, I'll get in the car and Kissin' Country will be on. And I'm like, what happened?
What is going on here?
I've failed as a father.
Miserably, dude. What are you binging right now? What are you watching?
On the Crave or whatever it is, I'm watching Yellowstone.
Oh, I've heard nothing but good things about it.
I don't know why that show slipped under the radar for so long, because it's third season. They're about to release the fourth season.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What did I hear? What was the comparison? It was like,
it's like a cowboy Breaking Bad.
That's what it was. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a bit like that.
Okay.
That's a decent way of putting it. You
is
fall
there
in love with
anybody
the
like
characters right away.
Is there anybody in the show that you're like, oh fuck, I know that guy? Why do I know that guy?
Well, Kevin Costner's in it.
Oh, Costner. Oh, yeah.
He's the head guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say Kevin Costner. Yeah, you might know who that guy is.
But then everybody else is sort of B actors.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that idea, though.
Do you remember the guy? Did you watch Breaking Bad?
Yeah,
of course you did.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you remember the guy that was sort of the bodyguard over Bryan Cranston's character and Jesse?
Okay, yeah.
And he was like a native-looking kid.
Yep.
And he took over when Jesse ended up going AWOL. He took over and started doing the meth mix.
Yeah.
That guy is in the first season of Yellowstone.
Oh, okay.
So right away, like almost the first couple of scenes, you get, and I think that's why everybody's going, well, it's a cowboy Breaking Bad.
Right.
Because there's even a character from Breaking Bad.
Your brain starts going like, I know that guy from Breaking Bad.
Yeah. So I think there's that. There's been that. But then there's the girl that plays Beth Dutton. I'm only like 6 or 7 episodes into the first season. I just started it like a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
The girl that plays Beth, you might recognize her. She's a redhead. And she's very good in it. A lot of people are talking about her. She's like the daughter, Kevin Costner's daughter.
Okay.
And she's amazing. She's just dysfunctional as hell and crazy.
Right.
And
you gotta have those characters. Yeah. I started getting into Empire.
Okay, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that at all, but I've heard good things. It's okay.
It's okay. Yeah. Like I'm about 5 or 6 in, and I kind of got it on the back. I'm not really truly watching it. It's in the background. I watch a little bit, maybe do a little bit of social media shit, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good. It's pretty solid. I like the WandaVision.
Wife and You. WandaVision. Have you watched? Okay, I got kind of railroaded into watching that. I don't watch a lot of nerd shit. Right. But I did end up watching that. That was pretty good. It had a bit of an X-Files feel to it, so I think I was able to choke on it. So
yeah. See, like, and that for me, like, I'm into all of those, like, fucking X-Men, Avengers, Batman.
Oh, are you?
All that. I love.
Yeah,
that
you
shit,
were
dude.
a big nerd.
Comic books, yeah, man. I mean, I always collected comic books, right? So I did get into the WandaVision, but yeah, man, I'm just, again, I'm just so busy, man. Even just trying to find time, and sometimes it's with Jess, but oftentimes it's just kind of, I'm like 2, 3, 4 nights a week probably working on the podcast stuff. So
So do you do 5 days a week at BCIT?
Yep.
Is Ribble still there?
Ribble is still there.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Ribble is still the announcer instructor.
What? How old is he?
I think I want to say he's like not much older than me. He's maybe 55, 57, 60 at the most. He's
got to be 60. He was my instructor.
Yeah, well, he was my instructor too, like in 95, right? So here I'm like working alongside the guy that was, man, it's he's still there. Was Kat Stewart there when you were there?
I think Kat got the job the year I left.
Okay, so Kat's still there.
She was working at an AC station, wasn't she, in Vancouver?
I'm not sure.
Back in the day, huh? You'll have to say hi to Ribble. I wonder if Ribble even remember me.
Oh, of course he would, man. Of course he would.
Yeah. I was I found radio school really hard. I found BCIT very difficult because I was an arrogant piece of shit, and I had really good grades when I was in school, like in high school. Yeah. Like I was an honor roll fucking student, and then I got to BCIT, and they didn't like me. I did not do well.
Oh, dude, they tried to kick me out of the course, man.
Oh, did they? Okay, see, I wasn't that bad, but I mean,
but I also don't think that it was justified in that they were trying to. So here's what happened, real quick, Cole's notes. So I went to a friend's place in Kamloops over the Christmas holiday.
Yeah.
So when I go to start my car, my block had frozen. So now I had to call, the Napa Auto Parts or whatever. Hey, have you got this block or whatever? Turns out my buddy was a mechanic. So thankfully he was able to help out. So we had to wait till Wednesday for the part to show up. So we put it in on Wednesday. What do I just drive back down for Thursday and Friday for school? So I said, fuck it, whatever. I'll just stay here till Sunday and I'll leave and I'll come back. Well, in the point of that, I missed a week of school. When I came back, one of the instructors, who's not there anymore, was basically like, you're not showing enough initiative and drive. So I'm going to try to get you kicked out of the course. Meanwhile, I'm working at CFOX, LG, QMFM, CFON. I'm working at 4 stations. Yeah. And Kevin Ribble was the one that was like, this guy's actually probably going to go someplace. So we might want to maybe just
hang on to him.
Hang on. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Interesting, right? And then how much 20 years later, hey, you want to come and be an instructor?
That's funny. Well,
there's a story. There's a story I'm sure they wouldn't want me telling the students.
Well, I barely scraped a C average by in BCIT. Really?
Wow.
Yeah. So I thought I was like,
what was
I think it might have been the best thing that happened to me though, because I was like, when I got that first gig, I was like, I'm going to show these fuckers.
Yeah.
Right. Like I had a little bit of that underneath me.
Oh, so did I.
Yeah. So so I worked my ass off. Have you ever talked about on your podcast? How many you do mostly musicians? Have you ever talked to a lot of radio guys on this?
Oh, dude, I do 3 guests a week. I do music, sports, and entertainment. So I'm all over the map, man.
Okay. So have you ever told the story about fist fighting Gary?
What?
At the Max in Prince George?
Fist fighting Gary?
Gary Russell.
Wasn't me.
Oh, you don't remember that?
I didn't fist fight Gary.
You blocked it out.
What?
He went after you. He took a swing at you. I don't think you took a swing at him.
Oh,
he took a swing at you.
Yeah, that wasn't a fist fight. Yeah. No, I never have ever told that story.
I was in the prod room and I heard a ruckus and I came out and I swear to God, I saw him.
Oh, he punched
you right in the fucking head.
Oh, I don't know if he punched me. I don't know if he connected. Dude, I totally forgot about that.
I was behind him and he had you like that. He was a fucking big guy.
He's a big guy, yeah.
He's a big guy. He's 250 pounds. He's 6'4".
Yeah.
And you're fucking what? 5'9", 10? Probably back then you were fucking 140 pounds.
6'2". I probably haven't changed height, but that's probably $180.
Well, that's right. You're a little taller. Okay, that's right.
Yeah, but still, like, he's a pretty big guy. But yeah, man, I totally forgot about that.
Cock and ribs, and he just
not anymore. Good God, man. Now I'm like dad sized. I'm 220, 225.
Good for you. Good for you. Yeah. That's beer weight.
Yeah, that's
I can't. Wow. I've been meaning to. I had that written down up here. I'm like, we got to talk about the fact that
forgot about that, man. I've totally, not that I blocked it out, but maybe I just didn't think it was that big of a deal. I do remember going to his office and saying like, hey, are we going to have a problem? Because if we are, it's totally fucking cool. I'll move along. And he was like, oh man, I'm really sorry. Of course I overstepped my boundaries and blah, blah, blah. And we kind of smoothed it out. I think that it was kind of just heat of the moment stuff. And, he and I both are pretty, we're pretty emotional guys, right? So
tempers.
Yeah.
I had it out with him a couple of times. He never took a swing at me. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We beak each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think part of that was, and I'm not trying to make excuses for him because he was your boss. He shouldn't have been fucking punching you in the hallway. Right. Whether he connected or not, it looked like he was taking swings at you. And I just remember thinking, what the fuck am I going to do? Like, am I going to get in front of this? Like,
right.
Somebody needs to do something. Somebody came running from the back room and jumped in front of him and broke it up. I think it might have been Sean from the newsroom.
Oh, Sean Leslie.
I think it was Sean Leslie. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
but I have a memory of somebody stepping in between the two of you.
Could have very well been Darren Coogan too.
It might have been Darren because Darren was in the back. And I remember coming out going, what the fuck am I going to do here? Like, this is wrong. And I remember I said something to him too. I'm like, that was not good, dude. Like, you can't beat the shit out of me. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And he told me he was on Xanax to quit smoking.
Slightly on edge.
I think he snapped because of some medication from smoking.
Wow.
I swear to God.
Yeah, that's funny.
We were all lippy, right? Probably beaked him, and
at that point, I'm sure I was a lippy little fucker. Yeah. 22 years old, 23 years old, probably. Yeah.
I have a memory of that, man. I don't know why. I blocked a lot of shit out in this business, but I have a memory of that. I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I haven't thought about
that. It lasted 10 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. I literally haven't thought about that since that happened. But yeah, that happened. That happened. That was real.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that shit going down today, bro. Like, it would be.
Can you fucking imagine?
Game over, man. Dude, it'd be game over. He's done.
I've said and done things as a manager that gone. Did things in radio stations in the past where boom, gone. Yeah. But it's weird though, because the line has moved on content too, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's shifted.
Like, you mean that in terms of what you can talk about, what's allowed to be talked about, PC stuff? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, but people go, is it more politically correct?
Yeah.
The line just moves around.
Constantly
There's just stuff you can't talk about. You just don't touch. You just leave it alone. But then there's stuff that I would never have been able to talk about 10, 15, 20 years ago that we get away with now.
Right.
Like, we got a pretty edgy show, but we avoid a lot of things because I just know it's just going to get us into trouble.
Right. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it for that 3-minute break, 2-minute break.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's not worth it.
I had a conversation with somebody today. I was explaining, I had a nickname for a doctor in town. So everybody has these COVID updates, right?
Yeah.
And this guy, this friend of mine, he's very curious about radio, right? So he asks me a lot of questions, and he was asking me about this one particular conversation that he overheard me having on the air with this woman. So the COVID updates, the Alberta COVID updates, there's always the doctor that comes out, and then the politician will talk. You guys have them in BC.
Yep.
So she's the head of, her name's Dr. Hinshaw, and she's the head of the Doctors Association. So she takes the lead in these press conferences around dinner time. She's the one that updates us on the numbers.
She's our Dr. Bonnie Henry.
Done. Yeah. So Dr. Hinshaw in Alberta, and then she's blonde, right? She's got a bob.
Yep.
Okay. So Dr. Hinshaw has these very severe bangs. So I was calling her Dr. Bangs. Not to be
not sexually
disparaging. Yeah. Like Bangs. Yeah, Dr. Bangs. And so somebody called me up and said, and I ran this call. Somebody called me up and said, I find that offensive. And this woman gave me her name. We recorded the phone call, and she said, I've been listening to you for quite a few years. I've never complained. And, but this is just, it's wrong. I don't like the nickname. I think you need to stop. And I said to her, absolutely. I can totally stop. What am I gaining from continuing to call her Dr. Bangs? We can be funny in another way.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was offending anybody, but she had a point. She presented her case. She had a great point. I've stopped calling her that on the radio. I actually even feel bad even mentioning it on this podcast. But anyway,
that's the only piece of stuff I'm going to use for the teasing of this now. Just Keep tagging the doctor.
So anyway, I completely stopped. And I went back in and looked at all her texts to us over the last 5 years. She is a longtime listener. She's texted us 100 times, and not once has she ever complained. So out of respect for her, I thought, you know what? I don't need to call. I don't need to have this nickname for this doctor. Why do I need to be disparaging this woman's looks with how difficult her job is? This woman had a great point. I can move on. Let's move on. I played the call on the air, and it's funny how it separates everybody, right?
Oh yeah.
Because now you got the guys that hate the politically correct world that we live in, and they think I'm catering to this politically correct world. So now they're mad. So you're constantly straddling this line in this business that we're doing, and then you got to gauge, okay, well, do I actually continue to have this conversation on the air and continue to use this nickname and upset the people that might be offended, but I'm appeasing this crowd over here? Like, you gotta play this game constantly. And I'm not going to use that nickname anymore because she had a good point, and she's not a Karen. She's not phoning me every week complaining about something, and I respected what she said. So I'm going to continue not to use the nickname. But it's just interesting, the world that we live in. But then I can do a break about, the fact that your Taiwanese dildos aren't going to get here because of the Suez Canal, right? I can have that conversation immediately following that, and I get no complaints.
Right. I think that goes back to what I was saying 15, 20 minutes ago, where everything that you say on the air, what do you want people to think of you like? You have to know yourself, and like, what is it that you want to shape your view?
Yeah.
And if that means that you need to curb calling a doctor fucking awesome, Dr. Bangs, then that's fine. Then you can find another way to kind of engage and hit your audience in a way that is, endearing, and they want to listen to more of Loc'r, right? There's other ways around it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what that was my ultimate thought was. And you got to make those calls really quick, right? Of course.
Yeah, on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, probably.
Absolutely, right? Yeah. Like, and the other thing is too, in order to get people to talk about your show and make it an interesting show to listen to, sometimes you got to walk the line, right? So you got to
especially at a rock station.
Oh, absolutely. You have to make sure that you keep that edge going, or so sometimes it's okay to have that guy call up and go, I'm never going to listen to your show again. Because that guy might actually come back next week, because he's going to go around and listen to the competition and realize that we might be the best option for him.
Right.
He might not let me know right away, but
eventually we'll know. Yeah. So now that you're in Edmonton, you've been there for a while. Does that mean that you support the Oilers?
You know what? I grew up a Canucks fan. Yeah. That's something I don't tell too many people. So, because I grew up in BC, so I was a big Canucks fan. That was what I watched. Yeah. And the only sort of common thread I have with my allegiance for one team or another over the years has been my hatred for the Habs. It's just continued to grow. I'm not a huge Habs fan. My dad passed that on to me. He hated the Habs, and I've kept that. Now, it is hard not to be a fan of the Edmonton Oilers when you live in Edmonton.
That team is amazing, dude.
Oh my God, Hancock. I mean, honestly, brother, they're fun to watch, and they'll also steal your soul a bit, because they don't perform to expectation. But that's just a sports thing.
As a longtime Vancouver Canuck fan, that sounds very familiar.
So I casually watch the Canucks, so I keep an eye on them. I thought that they had a good chance last year. I don't know what the hell happened.
Big time.
It fucking fell off. The wheels,
especially like to rip through what was it, Minnesota first, and then we went through the Blues, which is the defending champs, and then we went to Game 7 with the Vegas Knights, who were like the best team of last year. Fuck, we were close last year, man.
You were very close, and to be as far off now, based on what the team you had last year. Man, that's got to be hard to watch.
Well, it doesn't help that our best player Pettersson hasn't been in the lineup for 3 weeks now. Pearson was out for a while. Bo Horvat got, I think, hurt for a game or two.
Horvat's back though, isn't he?
Horvat's back, yeah.
So I think I saw him in a.
Yeah, now we're back to like no hockey for 4 or 5 days right now, I think.
I played hockey with Travis Green in Castlegar.
Did you really?
Yeah. I was on his line, and he got that year that I played with him, because we were like the A team.
Oh,
I don't even know what league it was.
You were B.A. Baracus or what?
I was the centerman, and he was one of the wingers. I think he was the right wing, and Dane Jackson was the left wing.
Dane Jackson.
Remember Dane Jackson? He was in the NHL for a cup of coffee. He was actually a Canuck.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I didn't know you skated that well.
Oh, dude, like the wind.
That's crazy. How did I not know that? I knew that you play the face piano, but you still get up on stage, by the way, and still play or fuck around.
Oh yeah. I'm that guy. Yeah. Put me up. I pull the harmonica out every once in a while on the show. It drives Grant and Jimmy crazy.
Oh, of course it would. Yeah,
I still played it. Yeah. No, I played hockey with Travis Green years and years ago, like 100 years ago, because he's from Castlegar. I can't remember the name of the team, but yeah. And I remember he didn't skate very well. Fucking kid skated on his ankles. And
really?
Oh yeah, he was not great. He got better. Obviously, he made the NHL, but he had great hands and would just skate to the front of the net. So we were always feeding him. So I think he had like 120 goals that one year, and I think I had like 80 assists.
That's awesome. I just had Sean Avery on.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah,
it's worth checking out. He shares.
I like him.
He's a fucking great guy. He shared a pretty funny John Tortorella story.
Him and Torts.
About how Torts wasn't the best skater, and at practice when they do like the drills where the coach was passing you the puck kind of thing, and you'd have to pass back to the coach and whatever. Yeah, he'd fucking just zing it as hard as he could, just to try to get Torts to knock on his ass, right? And it would stop the whole play from everybody just to watch how fast Avery's going to shoot this puck at Torts, right? Pretty funny.
Avery was just a raging dick, eh?
Oh my god!
I never liked him when he played.
He's one of those guys that you'd want on your team, but not fucking have to play against.
No, the funny thing about Avery for me was I never liked him as a player, but now since he's been out of the league, I don't know how many times I've heard him on different podcasts and whatnot, and now I'm a fan. Like I love the guy.
Yeah.
How did you get in touch with Sean Avery? Did you just send him a note? Or is he promoting a movie or something?
No, it was actually just through a buddy that was like, hey, I think I probably could get Sean Avery on your podcast. I was like fucking Sean Avery, NHL Sean Avery. Like, just make sure we got the shit right, Sean. He goes, yeah, Sean Avery. I was like, yeah, that'd be awesome, dude. It's like 2 hours later, here's Sean's number. Hey, man. Literally that easy.
It's funny how things work, eh?
Yeah, man. Sometimes
is he still in New York?
I think he's still in New York. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. That's interesting. Is he still acting?
He's still acting. Yeah.
Okay. Good for him.
When I talked to him, he was like, "Yeah, I'm still acting. I guess I'm an unemployed actor, but yeah, he's still acting." He had the role in Tenet.
Okay. All right. That's right. I did see that.
And he talks about that and how he got that role and all that. And, of course, he talked about the Avery rule, like having a fucking rule named after you. How good is that?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a legacy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good guy.
How about all the fights? You get into like UFC fights and all that, Bellator and.
Okay. I don't know a lot of the names, but I watch, like, I'm not hardcore reading stats and keeping track of guys, but we watch a lot of the fights. I was gonna watch this weekend, but I'll be honest, I got a little drunk on Saturday night and passed out before the main card. So
that sounds vaguely familiar. Yeah, I'm kind of a fan of the. That's the only thing I really like for sports. Hockey.
I hear after the game, and I'm like,
an MMA.
Yeah. And I was like 6 or 7 deep, and I was like, I can't do this, so I just crashed. But I'm up early, right? So my schedule's all over the fucking place. So on a weekend, I usually, like, I'm not staying up that much later because I'm up at 3:30 in the morning. So I know a lot of guys in radio. You didn't do the morning show for very long, did you? You did it hit and miss.
I did about a year, and I hated it. Hated it
in Victoria, right?
Well, I did a year in Victoria, and I did a year at CFOX with Jeff O'Neill. It was me, Jeff O'Neill, Biff Naked, and Karis.
I fucking remember that.
Yeah,
I remember they threw you in that shit show.
Like, I love Jeff.
See, I like mornings.
I would do it. I mean, that's when I was like 28 years old. But like now, I'm 47. Like, give me a morning show now. Fuck yeah, I'll crush it. But then, like, just not my lifestyle, man.
I was always a morning person.
Yeah, never.
But I loved afternoon drive. That's the sweetest gig ever.
That's the best one, man. 3 to 7. 2 to 6, 3 to 7.
The fucking best.
The best job. I don't care how much money you're paying me to do mornings. I don't want it. No, thank you. Now maybe I would.
Take a sniff at it.
Lochlin, let me.
How old are your kids?
10 and 8.
Holy shit. That's fucking crazy, man.
I know, right?
That's insane.
The blink of an eye, for you. 10 and 8. 2 boys.
It goes so fast. Mine are 23 and 21.
That's crazy. Do they both live out of the house?
Do you remember? Well, we sent one's home because she was in Toronto, and then COVID. She's going to film school. She's going to Ryerson. So she came back. So now she's working here. She's got a shift at Earl's. She's been working at Earl's for years.
Yeah.
She got a job there when she was like 18. But she's now back because they can't do anything in with school. Like, her final year last year was supposed to be this year. And she's supposed to make, like, her practicum is to make a film, right?
Right.
So she was supposed to do all that shit. So it was like, you know what? You got to go home. So she just came home. She does some courses online just to get her credits. And then next year she's going to go back and finish the year. Hopefully things will get better. But
what was that thing?
And then the other one.
Was it Riley that I set something up with for a place downtown Vancouver where she was doing some shooting? What was that for?
That was Natasha. She did 1 year. She did 1 year at CAP. She took film there because she didn't get into Ryerson. And then her first year, I phoned you because she was looking for a set. And you hooked her up because you knew the guy that owned that building. And she filmed her, and that was her year-end project. That got her into Ryerson.
Really?
She did a music video with a guy. Yeah, with a musician, and he was, and they brought in dancers and everything like that, and they used that whole building downtown, and I guess you knew the guy that owned the building, and he gave them clearance to shoot the film on the roof.
Wow.
So
that's great.
That project got her into Ryerson, and she's been there ever since.
Wow, that's great.
Riley, my youngest, is the dancer. She's the one we sent to Winnipeg at 13, and she spent 7 years in Winnipeg at the Royal Winnipeg Ballet, and then she just got a gig in Spain. So she's there.
Holy shit.
21 and 23, man.
Dude, I remember your kids were just little punks, man, when I'd come over for dinner. Yeah. I don't even know that they were even in school yet.
No, they wouldn't have been. Because they were born in 97 and 99. Yeah. And I left Prince George in 2000.
I left in
to 99. Go to Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. You left just before. A bit from.
Yeah.
Because you and Tiffany got a job at Q.
Tiffany got a job at Extreme.
Extreme, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And then didn't you go?
No,
I work with her.
No, I did eventually. I went to CFOX for a couple years, 2.5 years. And by the time I started working with her, we weren't together anymore.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was one of those, like, we'd broken up. And then I asked all my mentors, O'Neill and Bob Mills and Bob Harris and all these guys, Ross Winters, like, what should I do? And all of them were like, dude, if it wasn't your ex-fiance, we'd be fucking kicking you out the door. But like, you do what you want. You do what you want to do, bro. Like, that's a pretty dicey situation to walk into. And I was regretting it probably within 2 months.
Yeah.
Only because it was so awkward. We would say things to push each other's buttons, knowing that it was going to piss you off, and I'd make her look bad. She'd make me look bad. It wasn't good. They really, when I first got there, the first promo that they did for the station was Battle of the Exes.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like, we're going to take you on a skydiving tour. You bring a friend. Which team do you want to be on? Your friend's on the other one, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's the way they kind of did it. And it really started to get kind of awkward and like not fun within a couple of months. And I was really regretting moving from CFOX to there. But thankfully, within probably 8 months later, I got offered evenings and start up the Rock Report and jump back over. But yeah, man, what a crazy.
Have you kept in touch? Have you kept in touch with Tiffany?
Oh, no, I haven't. No, I haven't talked to her in a long time. 15 years, probably.
Yeah.
More maybe. Yeah. I couldn't even tell you where she is anymore. Great girl, of course. Super awesome, super funny. But yeah, I haven't talked to her
she
for a
was
while.
Good energy. I always enjoyed Tiffany. Yeah.
Super rad, man. Super, super rad.
I that's one thing that I'm kind of regretting. This sort of head down kind of is that I've lost touch with a lot of people that I over the years in this business. That I had
easy to
good
do though, right? You kind
of
it
is.
You kind of get into your little habit and away you go, and suddenly a week goes by, a month goes by, a year goes by.
Yeah.
I mean, like we said off the top, like we haven't seen each other for years, man. It's been probably 10 years.
Well, and you know what? To be honest, I haven't been back to see my family in that. I think I've been back. I was back once to see my mom because she had a retirement party.
Yeah.
And that there was a time there where we were coming back every year, but I had I had a kid in ballet school, and I basically I phoned them and said, you know what, that $3,000 trip every year to bring my whole family down to Vancouver, that's not happening.
Right.
Yeah. So, so.
Fair.
Yeah. And they're all still there. Like,
yeah. Wow.
My mom's trying to get out of Vancouver and go to the island now.
Oh, should just sell. Do they own?
Yeah, she owns, and it's not going well.
Man. It's just insane. Fuck, down here, we had a place a couple doors down that listed for 1.1 and they sold for 1.65.
Jesus.
500,000 over asking.
Jesus.
Like, this place is just insane, bro.
Yeah. Did you end up buying down there?
Yeah. I bought when I bought a little loft back in like 2005-ish.
Yeah.
And then, when I sold that, I got really lucky and I made about 300,000 or something like that. Put it all into a house. So we own a house in East Van.
Yeah.
I owe about maybe 300,000 on it. So the mortgage is super, super basic. Like I could fucking panhandle and pay the mortgage.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel pretty lucky, man. Cause like, the eventual goal is to sell and then probably move to, I don't know, Summerland, Peachland, West Bank.
But you can do this fucking anywhere.
You could do this anywhere, man.
Yeah. I saw your post on Facebook about not going after that peak gig. And yeah, dude, I mean, why?
Well, that's exactly it. Like, for between BCIT and the podcast, I make just as much money as I ever did at CFOX, which I got let go for making too much money.
Yeah.
So, and I also get summers off, full pay.
Yeah.
You know, winter, spring breaks, reading breaks, all stats, pension.
Yeah.
Like why would I ever go back to radio unless they're backing up the money truck, which there's fewer and fewer jobs. Like, I hate to say it, I probably won't ever go back to radio until I retire, and I just want to have a fuck around 2-day a week job.
I've thought about that, right? Like, because I've been doing this a long time now. What's the next step? I mean, I have no problems with Edmonton. I got a great company. I had a great show. I love the fucking guys.
CRUZ is what?
Harvard.
Oh, okay.
So they're smaller. I mean, and there's pros and cons of working with a small company versus a big company. But right now, man, I based on how everything's been going, I have no fucking problems with this company. They're awesome. They leave me alone. They let me do what I'm doing, and we're successful. We're bringing in good numbers, and they're making money, and like everyone's happy. Yeah. And I don't know, like, I mean, you've worked with guys at different co-hosts and stuff like that, and to have zero drama is rare. And I just got two guys that give a shit about it, love what they do, coming to work today. We have every day and we have fun, right? I am so lucky, man.
Yeah.
Can't beat that. We've had a couple of sniffs at our show. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to convince us to make a big change.
And that's why I posted. I just had enough people hit me over that weekend. Like, Hancock, you know that both drive positions are open, right? Like, I just had enough, like easily 10 people within the industry.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to let everybody know, like, I know, I know that it's available, but like, fuck, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm happy with what I'm doing. Like, why would I change what I'm doing in hopes of remaining happy under the umbrella of a big corporation? Like, no offense to peak jobs, those are fucking great gigs, but my job is better right now.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about for me about the podcast world, because I've kind of, for the last couple of years, I've been listening to podcasts for years now, and the last couple of years I've been thinking, you know what, maybe I should get into this, but I don't want to jump in. You took a chance, you jumped in, you've created this brand, and you've got this thing, and it's chugging along nicely now.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, it's like now it's like just turnkey. Like now it's upkeep.
It just takes care of itself.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, I mean, like, I've put a lot of time and energy into the show that I'm doing. So I've got lucky, and I started jumping on with Dean every once in a while. Blundell, you're on the Dean Blundell network.
Yeah, Dean's a beauty. Yeah,
Dean's a beauty, man. I love doing pods with him.
He's a good shit. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I've been I lucked out in that. I mean, he's found a spot for me, and he likes what I bring to the table, and he includes me on these weekly podcasts. But there's something about this format and this sort of platform that is appealing to a lot of people, and it's dragging a lot of eyes and ears over to it. Right. I find it interesting. Like, we did that Mike Bullard interview. I don't know if you saw that.
I haven't seen it yet. I did see that it was posted, but I haven't watched it yet.
It's very interesting. And you're back west. You're like with me, you're back west. You're out of the broadcasting and the sort of the media, drama circles and the cliques of Ontario. So I didn't know the whole story. All I heard was Bullard was stalking this chick, right, in the media. And go and listen to it, right? But the thing that jumped out at me from doing that interview with Mike was he has been unable to tell his side of the story, and no one will give him a chance. So Dean gave him a chance, and then we did this interview with him, and it's this crazy interview, man. You got to hear it. It's nuts. And what happened to them. And There's no other format that his story would have worked in. What he needed to do and say only worked in this sort of arena.
Right. So like, hey, Mike, we got to wrap it up here in 60 seconds. Got to get to that break, bro.
You know what I mean? Like in radio, we're all constantly trying to package and put these sound bites out, right? Like,
right.
You live in this confined sort of, that's why I'm interested in this. And I haven't been doing it long. I mean, I've only been hopping on with Blundell now, maybe for 3-4 months. And it's hit and miss. It like now we seem to be on a roll here where we're doing 3 a week kind of thing. But there was, you know, I jump on once in a month, and then maybe a couple weeks later jump on again, and then we do 2 in a week. And so it's sort of been like that. But this is an interesting, this thing that has been created and is growing is interesting. And it'll be interesting to see how it transforms broadcasting.
Oh, it's already transforming broadcasting.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a reason why I never went back.
Yeah.
And it's because of the freedom and like just that all like everything's all so new. And yeah, like everything that you just said, there's a reason why I'm not in the game anymore.
Yeah, it's funny. We were talking about that this morning on the show about like people don't watch sporting events anymore.
Right.
They want the highlights, right? Like, and people in the sports world have got to be freaking out about.
Oh yeah.
They have got to be freaking out about what's happening with their business. That Tim and Sid thing, like Sid jumping ship to go to a breakfast TV show, and every sports donkey in the country going, "What?"
Right.
They're all freaking out about what's happening in their business.
Dude, there's no fucking sports station in Winnipeg.
That doesn't make any sense. That's like that city goes rabid. They go nuts for sports.
Right. And there's no sport. That'd be like Seattle not having a sports station.
It's insane. It's crazy. Yeah.
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 Loc'r, I'm going to wrap it up, buddy.
That was good.
Put a little bow on this one.
You know what? We need to get together and have some beers at some point.
Yeah.
If I make my way down there, I doubt highly you're ever going to travel to Edmonton.
Probably not. Let's be honest.
I appreciate the honesty.
But we could do one of these without recording it and just fucking crack a couple and.
Oh, I don't hate that idea.
And hang, yeah, let's do that.
All right, brother.
So you're easy to find online. Simply your name, Lochlin Cross on Twitter. Are you on Instagram? You're very.
I'm on Instagram. I'm on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not on fucking
no Snapchats,
TikTok.
No TikToks, none of that shit. No. You're fucking 50 years old. Don't do that.
Okay, thank you. Because people are trying to talk me into going on fucking TikTok. I'm like, I have a deal with my co-hosts, and they're desperately trying to get me on TikTok. I said, if I ever get on TikTok, and if you ever see me doing one of those stupid fucking dances, one of you is allowed to shoot me. So
I'll be next in line. Loc'r, it's good to see you, buddy. Say hi to Deb for me.
I will.